The death of Jonathan Kent in Man of Steel remains one of the most controversial superhero movie moments to date. But now that one of DC's greatest writers has recreated the scene in Superman comics, will it finally help fans understand why Pa Kent's death was, in his own words, a brave and amazing choice? Recruiting writer Mark Waid, Superman, Birthright, Action Comics, Kingdom Come, to bring Clark's first adventures as Superboy back into canon, DC is revisiting the exact same period of Clark's life as depicted in Man of Steel. And now that the coming-of-age origin story has kicked off by echoing, resembling, or flat-out recreating the controversial tornado moment, it's clear that both fans and critics of Zack Snyder's films are still fundamentally misreading Jonathan Kent's entire story. Superman not saving his father, the scene people still don't understand. Snyder critics despised the scene, while one of DC's greatest writers loved it. From the moment that Jonathan Kent, Kevin Costner, first told his son that mastering his powers in secret would, maybe, mean there would be people he couldn't, or shouldn't save in the meantime, he had enemies. Whether this cynical worldview was heresy, or just this line of dialogue, self-professed fans cried foul. But it was Jonathan Kent's tornado self-sacrifice that drove his controversial characterization home, proving he was actually willing to be one of those souls Clark shouldn't save. Leave it to a comic book legend like Mark Waid's own review of Man of Steel at the time to explain why, despite his own criticisms of film from writer David S. Goyer and director Zack Snyder, Man of Steel's controversial depiction of Jonathan Kent was one of their best decisions, as one of the most acclaimed comic writers still living, and ironically, one fan who proudly declares that Superman literally did save his life. Mark Waid knows a good narrative, a good story, or a good idea when he sees one. So it shouldn't be a surprise that this Man of Steel update can now be seen in Waid's new Superman origin story. Superman's new origin story is helping fans grasp Man of Steel's point. Mark Waid's new Superman origin is bringing this protective Pa Kent into comics. Jonathan Kent in Man of Steel, a new Superman origin comic. The new origin officially begins in Action Comics number 1087 by Mark Waid, Skylar Patridge, and Ivan Placencia, approximately the same time in Clark's life as Man of Steel, introducing him as a young man eager to find his own place in the world. And while the Superman comic may obviously be more light-hearted than the film, Jonathan echoes the same concerns about the day his son reveals himself to the world. Waid is almost repeating the lesson for the sake of clarity, underscoring that, in a modern context, any loving parent would wrestle with the morality and risks that Jonathan and Martha Kent have considered for years, not months, as Clark naively suggests. And as was the case in Man of Steel, this voicing of caution, restraint, and even self-denial is used to form a crucial new bond between Clark and Jonathan. With one difference, once the moment arrives for Superboy to reveal himself to the world. And in this Superman origin, Jonathan lives to see Clark become a hero. Without a need to sacrifice himself, Pa Kent lives to give Clark his blessing. Kevin Costner and Diane Lane Kent's with Superman comic version. While these Waid and Patridge scenes in Action Comics number 1087 are similar to ones in Man of Steel, they are not recreations, and claiming so could be seen as unkind to the storytellers. But what stands out most is not that Superman gets to leap into action in the comic, but was forced to freeze in the movie. It is Clark's identical look to his father for permission. In Man of Steel, as Waid noted, Clark's obedience to his father is used to show his trust, as tragic as the ramifications it might be. In Action Comics, having shown Clark impatiently begging to be a hero one scene earlier, it is Clark hesitating, and looking to his father in the same act of obedience, that achieves the same moment. Tempting as it may be to focus solely on this Pa Kent granting permission, and Man of Steel's refusing, the meaning is far greater. Ultimately, Waid's echo of the Man of Steel scene he so thoroughly praised is worthy of its own, as both a callback and a unique variation. Jonathan judging that it was not yet time for Clark to debut was what propelled Man of Steel's story on film. Jonathan deciding the time has come in the comic version will do the same, proving just how much the two fathers share. Far from correcting, countering, or fixing the controversial scene in Man of Steel, Waid has managed to illustrate much of its power. By almost granting Man of Steel's Jonathan a chance to give the permission he never got to on film, unless counting Zack Snyder's Justice League. Perhaps more readers can put aside the controversy to appreciate the same story Mark Waid did on his first watch.